Welcome back everybody, Kaiser here. Today I'll be bringing you the Revoltech Yuki from the Yu-Gi-Oh! GX series. When it comes to the box design, I don't really have much to say about it, since this is my very first Revoltech figure. But with that being said though, from the videos I've seen and from things that I read online, they have been changing the way they design their boxes. So before, they were just like every other company, they would show a display where you can see the accessories and the figures inside. But now they're going with this neutral box design where there's no way to see what's on the inside and all you get is pictures of the figure and of the character. So with that being said, they have the Revoltech logo right here, the name Yuki. For those of you that watch the English dub of Yu-Gi-Oh! GX, his name here is Jaden Yuki, but in Japan they call him Judai. So there's a GX logo right here, a nice picture of the figure on the left hand side. Here it is, Revoltech with his name right here and the figure. And on the back, you can see a bunch of different poses with different facial expression, all of the accessories right here at the bottom. And once again, with all of the Japanese that I have no idea what it says since this figure was imported from Amy. On the side, the same thing, different face, different action poses. And this is how the box looks. Once again, there's no window for you to see what's on the inside. Okay, for some box comparisons, I don't have any other Revoltech box to show to compare it to, but I do have some SH figure arts that I brought and some Figma to just give you a comparison in case you were wondering. So when it comes to a normal SH figure arts box, here is 9S from the Nier Automata series. The Revoltech box is much larger, and most definitely the width is a lot larger when it comes to side by side. And then for the Figma box, here's a regular larger Figma box, if you will. This is Yugi from the Dual Monster series. And as you can see, they're about the same size and about the same width. Which I don't know if they went for that when they did Jaden Yuki, but you know, I think it's nice. At the very least, you can put the Yu-Gi-Oh! Figures side by side and they will look okay. So straight out of the box, this is how Jaden looks like. He looks like he came straight out of season 4 of the anime, which is the final season. And for you guys that don't know, season 1, 2, and 3 of Jaden, he has different characteristics than season 4, mainly being his hair, his pants, and the color of his dual disc. So his dual disc right now on this version is red, and his pants is a darker shade of blue. And his hair is also more flowy towards the back. So bringing the figure up closer, you guys can take a closer look. Mentioning the hair. Is the double shade of brown, which is how it's supposed to be. His eyes are mainly hazel/brown, which is really good. His facial expression is really nice, and the details are all there, which is amazing. His jacket is very well made. All of the waves on it to make it look like cloth. It's really nice. The waviness on the back. For you guys that watch Yu-Gi-Oh!, all the main characters have this wavy jacket that defies physics on the back, just like their hair. So that's a positive point. Here is his jeans, which is very basic, but that's how he looks. And like I like to call it, his Slifer Red 11s, which is his shoes. Very basic, not a lot of detail on the shoes, but I don't think you would care much about it. His jacket has this white detail with this, I would say, darker red outline, which makes it pop. This is how it looks from the back. With the collar, this edgy collar, with all of the other MCs have. So I think it looks really nice. And this is just food for thought for those of you that never watch Yu-Gi-Oh! But Jaden is the only main character that does not start with a Y as his first name. Instead, Yuki is his last name. So you can see Yugi, but they start with Y. Yusei, which is from 5Ds, they also start with Y. So Jaden is the only main character that starts with a J. So with that being said, here is how the Figma, which is the only Yu-Gi-Oh! Figure I have to compare it to. This is how the Figma Yugi looks like in comparison to Jaden. And I think their scaling looks better than I expected. Even though the skin color is a little off, but that doesn't really bother me. I know that Revoltech released a Kaiba and a Yugi back in the day, but I was never able to put my hands on it. So I was able to put my hands on the Figma. And I have to say that just by the looks of it, the Figma is a better figure. But unfortunately, they only released Yugi from what I know. Maybe they released a Kaiba, but I'm not really sure. But nevertheless, Jaden is my favorite character from the Yu-Gi-Oh! Series, so I did have to put my hands on it. And with them, if you have a Figma version, they look good. The height is how I expect it to be. I think Atem is about 5'2", 5'3", and Jaden is about 5'5". So the scaling is very good. And then you can make the famous graduation duel with them, and I think it will look really nice. So taking Yummy out. I do have to say before we get to the articulation, this right here is no bueno. So when it comes to the articulation, I do like to point a very important thing, which is that this figure right here doesn't seem to have any Revoltech joints. For those of you that own Revoltech before, I'm pretty sure you already noticed on the previous segments that this figure didn't have any of those joints, because normally, for those of you that don't know, Revoltech joints look really bulky, and figures in standing poses and more basic relaxed poses do not look so good just because of the way that the joints look. The joints allow for a greater range of movement, but in exchange, the scale, the size, and the proportions are a little wonky because of it. But as I mentioned, this figure right here, even though it's from Revoltech, does not have any of the usual Revoltech joints. These joints are more similar to that of Figuarts and Figma. But like I said, I never owned the Revoltech personally, so I don't know how long they have been changing the joints. Maybe this is the first figure, the second figure, I'm not really sure. But from the videos I've seen from the My Hero Academia line of figures, they are still using the Revoltech joints. But I don't know if this figure right here in specific does not have it, or they just didn't decide to include it. With that being said though, I'll move into the articulation section. This is how he looks down. He looks up about this much, down about this much. He has no problem looking side to side. Leaning as well, no problem whatsoever. When it comes to the arm, he can raise it about this far on both sides before getting caught by the shoulder pad from the jacket. And I do like to mention that this shoulder pad is a very hard plastic, which causes an important issue, which is this: the figure does not lift his arms forward, which is an extreme bummer, as you can see. I don't know why they did it like that. It doesn't even look or feel like a Revoltech just because of this issue alone. If you kind of try to push it forward, this joint right here, if you call it a joint or a piece, kind of like gets like spread apart from this bottom part of the jacket. And then on the pictures on the box, it does look like this. I'm gonna pick up the box real quick just to show you. In this pose right here, as you can see, it's kind of lifting from the bottom of the jacket. So I guess they knew about it, and that's what they expected people to do, just to push like this. Like you see how it's detaching from it, just to lift up the arm a little bit. But even then, that doesn't solve the issue of the arm being to the side. So that's an extreme bummer. Like I said, doesn't look like the normal Revoltech I'm used to seeing on the videos. His arm can bend just above the 90-degree angle, which I guess is good enough for a Duelist. He has no problem putting his arms to the side like so. Like I said, if he tries to do a 360, the arm is going to be like this, which once again is an extreme bummer. And as I mentioned previously on the like aesthetic section, look how loose the bottom part of his body is. I don't know why it's like that. I don't know if it's just an issue with my figure, but this is what I'm having problems with. And I'm not really sure how I can take care of it. When it comes to the ball joints in the hands, it's just regular ball joints. You can move in there, no problem. Even though this arm collar right here is really large, it doesn't hinder much of the articulation inside of that. When it comes to the chest, he can look down about this far and look up, not much because of this back part of the jacket stops him, but he can look down about this far, which I think is enough. He has no crunch besides this right here on the waist, if you call it that, and he can look left and right without a problem. The joints are very wonky, by the way, because like you can pull it back about this much and it doesn't look good in my personal opinion. I don't know if Revoltech is just trying new joints, but hopefully they can fix it on future releases so this doesn't happen again. His jeans are like this, so he can do the splits, no problem, because this is how the joint looks like. I personally don't think it looks that bad. Yeah, it kind of does look bad, but you normally won't put Jaden in split positions, but I just want to show you. His leg goes up about this much, no problem. And when put to the side, you can see this huge gap right here from the joint, which I don't think, like I said, it's a good idea. It doesn't look good in my personal opinion. When it comes to the knee, his has, I think, double joint range. His knees look ugly. Look how ugly this looks. Like, I don't know what Revoltech was doing. The aesthetics when he's standing on basic poses look really good, but as soon as you try to put him into, I guess, action poses, he just falls apart. The aesthetics looks ugly. Look at this knee. This is unacceptable, but it's fine. I'm not one to complain about joints, but this one looks really bad given how the other joints are. Because normally, I think with Revoltech, you are expected to the joints to look this ugly, but you will get the range that you're looking for. But this right here, like I said, like I mentioned, the arm, this is unacceptable, and this floppiness right here is unacceptable as well. But when it comes to the foot, he has a little bit of a rocker, so you can move up and down, side by side, no problem. He has a toe hinge, not much, but I guess it's enough. So I'm gonna put the leg down. Oh, and by the way, this part right here on my figure is really tight, but this is really sloppy. But one thing that I was able to do when I was playing with the figure, if you remove this right here, this is a floaty piece. If you flip it around, it's not supposed to be like this because this is the back part. But if I put this in here, as you can see, it's much tighter. But the issue is when I move, it gives them a little bit more range going forward. But as you can see, if you try to move back, you can see a bit of the peg right there, and then you kind of have to push it again because I guess it's not supposed to lock into place like this because this soft plastic kind of hinders the articulation. But because it hinders the articulation, it doesn't allow it to flop. So I guess I'm just gonna keep my Jaden like this from now on. So let me put it back into place real quick, just to finish the review with him how it's supposed to be. So like I said, like this, very floppy. But otherwise, this is how the articulation is. I expected a little bit more. Okay, when it comes to the accessories, Jaden got a couple of them, but he has one big issue, which I'm gonna mention as I get there. But number one, he comes with 4 different faces, which is pretty good. And his first face is this one right here, which is his happy-go-lucky face, which is how normally Jaden is. He's a happy-go-lucky guy. Even though on season 4, he's a little bit depressed, given the circumstances that happened on season 3. But by the end of it, he regains his happy demeanor, if you will. So, but the issue is with my face, if you focus right on top of the lips right there, there is a paint issue. It's very small, so I don't really care for it, but it's there, and that's kind of a quality issue bummer. He also has this face right here, which is his more neutral face, and this is how he normally is on season 4. Very serious and depressed. Now, right here is another face that he has, which is him yelling or taking battle damage. So this is how it is. And this right here is his, I would say, most iconic face, when he winks his eyes and he does the gotcha finger when he ends duels normally. But from the faces I've shown, he's missing a very important one, which is when he fuses with Yubel, he's supposed to have 2 different color of eyes, and he does not come with this face. I don't know why. I don't know if they just forgot. Maybe this one is not supposed to be season 4 Jaden, but as I mentioned, all of his accessories, all of his clothes design, everything is supposed to be season 4. As I mentioned, I don't know why he doesn't have it, but that's a bummer. Number 2, he comes with 3 different pair of hands, plus an additional one, which is the gotcha. So let's start with that one. This is the gotcha hand, where he points at the other duelist when he beats him, and he says gotcha, and that's it. He comes with the fist hand that he comes with out of the box. He comes with 2 of these hands right here. So I don't know if you're gonna call this a set of hands, even though they're different. So this is to hold the other set of accessories that comes. And so this one is the right hand and this one is the left hand. And these 2 hands right here go with this card right here. So I'm pretty sure you can just, let me find the correct hand, grab this right here and kind of plug it in like so. Like he's holding his cards in his hand. And this other hand right here, is supposed to hold this tiny card. Okay, can I do that? Like so. Oh, This is really tiny, so make sure you guys don't lose it. Just give me a second to try to put it in there. Oh, I think this is the gacha hand. This is not. The hold card hand is this one instead. They look very similar, but this one has a tighter grip on the card. There we go. So he can hold the card like this in one hand and the cards like this on the other hand. Now for his final hands, he has this two right here, which is just relaxed pose hands. Normally how you expect from most figures. So he also has this big deck of cards right here. Is a lot thicker because it's supposed to go into his dual disc. So as I mentioned, this is his red dual disc. He kind of has painting issues right here, but it's very minimal. But I like the fact that he caves into himself and makes it really tiny, which is this is how it looks without them being dueling. And as soon as they go into dual mode, it stretches like so, and underneath you can push this right here, and bam, you can get the full dual disc mode. And then this right here, I guess, plugs into the deck section, which is about right here. Let's see if I can do that. Let me see if I can do that on the camera. Hopefully I can put this in here. It's supposed to be here. Okay. It's in there, but I kind of don't want to press into it. But this part at the top seems to be really tight and is about to scrape it. But it's locked in there, so I don't think it would be a problem. And as I mentioned, let me put it like this. This is how it look in his activated mode. So this is it. And then to connect into the figure, there's this strap right here, which connects into his arm. And then this strap connects right here. And he also comes with another strap, which is this Velcro strap, in case you don't want to put the plastic strap. Okay guys, before my final thoughts, I do like to say a couple of things that I forgot. So during the accessories, the figure does come with a stand. So I forgot to mention that. It does come with a stand. And also, for the articulation section, he doesn't have a thigh swivel. With that being said though, here's the figure. I try to put him in a little bit of an action pose, with the legs more spread open, with the arms more engaged. And as I mentioned during the articulation, these arms and these legs were the worst things I've ever posed in a while. If you guys seen the Zoro review, it's just as bad, if not worse. The arms like range, you can move up, you can move it to the sides. The legs are totally wobbly. There's no thigh swivel. For me to put them in this pose right here, it's not the craziest of pose. It took me, swear to God, about 15 minutes. You could say that I could use the stand, yes, but I don't like using stands on my figures. If you look at my previous reviews, the only figure that had a stand was Wise, because I just wanted her to use the glyphs. Because otherwise, I don't put any of my figures on a stand because I just don't like it. It takes too much space, and for me, it's not something... Oh, see, he just fell over. This legs right here, look at how ugly on the side it looks. He has no thigh swivel, it's gaps everywhere. The torso, like I said, is super wobbly. His hands cannot be lifted up. I tried to do the gacha pose, just the bare minimum gacha pose. He was not able to do it. I'm going to try to stand him like this once again. See if he stands. Like I said, he's extremely wobbly. It took me so long to put him into stand. And yeah, I'm not even going to get into it. It's going to take a long time. This is super wobbly, as I said. Look at this. I barely moved the leg and he's already wobbling all over the place. And as I mentioned, I try to do the... Oh, please stand. Yep, no way. I tried to do the gacha pose with him, but guess what? You can raise his arm to do the gacha stand. You just can't do it. You just can't do it. Like, I just try to literally raise his arm. The only way to raise the arm is like this. And even then, it doesn't raise all the way in. And then if you wanted to do the gacha, you have to raise his whole body and move his head to the side like so. Straighten his legs. And like I said, this figure is all over the place. I don't know if you call this quality issue or not. It's wobbly right here. This top part is extremely tight. Oh, okay. This top part is extremely tight. But to open the leg is not really. It's sloppy to open the legs like this. This toe hinge, it's super, super sloppy as well. But this one, it's super tight. It's quality issues all over the place on this figure. This wobbliness is horrible. He cannot move his arm, not even to do basic gacha poses. This hand right here that he's doing, it's literally, look, everything's falling apart. The arms, it's just so bad. It's just so bad. It's this. This is like this. This is the hand that he's doing right now. He cannot move the arm higher than this. It's horrible. And then if you just look at the other figures, poses, this one, it's funny that they are not showing the arm upwards because the arm is like this on that picture. It's to the side. So is this one. This one, the arm is like, he's like so. It's like this. They cleverly put every pose, this one right here, the arm is downwards, just like this. And no figure, at no point is his arms forwards. And I think that's horrible, man. Like I said, this doesn't even look like a Revoltech figure. It's falling all over the place. It's horrible to pose. It's expensive. And it's just not good. If you put him in a casual pose, just like this standing, yeah, he will look great. You just do this right here. Like, for example, this one right here. You just do this. There you go. Boom. You have the pose now. Very similar to that. Just clever camera angles and stuff. But other than that, it's just not a good figure to pose. And it's really a bummer because Jaden is my favorite figure. It really is. Not my favorite figure, excuse me. My favorite character from the GX series. And this right here is so subpar. It just feels like Zoro. It makes me extremely sad because I was so hyped about it. Also, as I mentioned, this part right here, it kind of scratched the deck because this little piece right here is too tight to hold it into place. And then if you keep pulling this in and out, it's just gonna scratch all over the paint right here at the top. What else can I say that I mentioned that I found during the... Oh, this part right here. This bracelet, to put it into here. Super tight. You have to squeeze it a lot in order to turn it. And even then, it's kind of wobbly, like I said. Everything about this figure is half and half. Parts are super tight, like this part right here, just to raise his leg, is super tight. But then again, if you try to put him in an action pose like this, he's just gonna look like with no force at all. And as I mentioned, this part is tight, this part is loose. He cannot raise his arm once again. And like I said, it's just a bummer. I'm not even gonna try to, I'm just gonna rest against the box. Not even gonna put his hand back. But yeah, if I recommend this figure, maybe? If you're a Yu-Gi-Oh fan, that's basically it. And then if you are a Yu-Gi-Oh fan, I highly try to recommend getting this Yami from Figma. A much better figure overall, and much, like, no wobbliness, nothing, not at all. Very sturdy. This figure, not so much. But if you're a Yu-Gi-Oh fan, you're trying to make every main character, as I mentioned, they have Jaden, and then later on this year they're gonna launch Yusei. I already bought Yusei. Hopefully, now that they're using these different joints, they will be able to fix it on Yusei. And then give them good joints, because this right here ain't it. I don't know if it was a jacket. I don't know if they were trying new things, but this was not good. I'm sorry to be stretching this section out, but I'm just venting my frustration in case you want to buy this. If you buy, just know that all of those issues are going to be present. I don't think it's basically only my figure. Maybe the joints, some being loose, some being tight, might be just an issue with my figure. But overall, this arm situation, I don't think it's only my figure. Like I said, if you're a Yu-Gi-Oh fan and you try to collect all of them, yes, buy it. Because I guess they're just launching a bunch of different things. Figure Arts is releasing the blue eyes, the red eyes, and then Revoltech is launching this. Jaden is launching Yusei, is also launching Neos. And like I said, if you're just putting... Okay, let me do something. If you're just trying to put him in a casual standing pose like this, he will look good with Yugi right next to him, with Neos on the back. Everything will look good. You can maybe finagle with the arm, that the pose won't even require that good of a articulation to pull off. But as I mentioned, the wobbliness, you're gonna have a hard time doing that. But Kaiser signing out. Have a good one, guys. See you later.